everyone, welcome back once again to the layout, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO scale. This is part 2 of a 3-part series on operations on the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision, specifically train LDR14 from Ogden to Evanston. Part 1, if you haven't seen it yet, covers movement of the train from Ogden to Devil's Slide. And that's kind of where we pick it up right now. It has arrived at Devil's Slide and has pulled up just far enough for it to do some switching here at Holcim Cement, which is at the Devil's Slide control point. Now, one thing I'm going to try and use for the switching operations is a file. Haven't picked up any skewers yet, and I had a pick that I used for N scale, but it's too small for HO. So I'm going to try and use this file, see if it works. I was able to get the first cars uncoupled. The main objective here at Holcim Cement is to drop off some empties and pick up some loads. And you can see there's 4 cars there ready to be picked up. They've been loaded with cement and are ready to be distributed to customers. So we'll pick those up and then we'll set our 4 empties on the siding for Holcim Cement to fill up for later deliveries. Now on this video we're going to have sets of 4, 4, and 4, but when we get more into operations and have everything fully set, there will be a random number of cars. There will be, of course, limits to how many cars there are depending on the sidings and how many cars will fit on the different sidings. But it's not always going to be the same number of cars. Might be 3 cars, might be 6 cars, might be 5 cars. And there might also be some tank cars and box cars and possibly some gondolas. Those would be cars that would be delivered to provide supplies and different items that Holcim Cement would need for its basic daily operations. But the main cars being switched here will be the cement cars. So we went ahead and picked up the 4 loads, and we'll set them in our train, and then we'll go ahead and drop off our 4 empty cars. Now, in addition to dropping off and picking up cars here, we're also going to be doing some switching for Holcim Cement. We're going to be moving some of the cars from the siding then down to Holcim Cement, and then moving cars from the actual facility back to the siding. Basically, we're going to be doing some switching to get cars ready for a westbound train that will be coming through later in the day or the next couple of days. So we have the 4 loaded cars. We'll go ahead and push them back and then see if we can uncouple in order to drop off the 4 empties. All these cement cars that I have so far are Walther's mainline. As you see me pulling up some slack there so I could uncouple. They're all by Walther's mainline, so they're economy cars. I think each one was about $24. There were some other brands available, but these were much less expensive and actually are very nice cars. For $24 you get some nice looking stirrups and handrails and rigging, and so definitely a much better deal to pick up these as opposed to getting some of the more expensive ones. One thing I'm finding in HO scale is that the level of detail is just automatically a lot higher. My experience is that the bargain or more economical cars like Walther's Mainline or Atlas Trainman or the Athearn Ready to Run or Roundhouse, they basically have as much detail as N-scale cars do that are considered to have more detail. So just a regular high detail car in N-scale has about the same amount of detail as what a more economical price car does in HO scale. I'm sure that has a lot to do with the size. It's just easier to have the details, and they're much easier to see in HO scale as opposed to N scale. All right, so we're done swapping out cars, and then we'll go ahead and do some switching for Holcim Cement. So we're going to go ahead and push the cars back so that we can get to the other side of the siding. If you haven't seen part 1 of this video series, make sure you check it out. There was some pretty cool train action. The LDR14 arrived at Devil Slide, and then we had to wait for a higher priority train to go through. It had a pretty cool crossover. Now that train that went by in that episode 1 is now on the second level, and we get a chance to see it go by again a second time while we push back and get ready to switch Holcim Cement. Even though there's a much longer run on this layout as compared to my N-scale layout, the Geneva sub, it takes almost a half hour for trains to go around a complete loop. But what's nice is that with the 2 levels, you actually see the train every 15 minutes. So it comes out to be not too much longer than what I had on the Geneva sub. All right, we're ready to uncouple from our train here and see if we can move on down to Holcim Cement with some cars and do some switching. Now we're going to go ahead and go through this red signal with permission from the dispatcher. He's giving us permission to go through this signal in order to go into the siding and do some switching. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and go down to Holcim Cement and pick up the 4 loaded cement cars that are going to be picked up by a westbound train at a later time. This is a pretty long siding here, or spur, I guess you could say, down to Holcim Cement. In fact, this spur actually crosses the river. But if you look at some of these pictures from the prototype, it is in fact that long, and there actually is a pretty cool trestle bridge that goes across the stream. This is going to be a pretty cool scenic spot because you have the road that goes across the river, and then you got the spur that goes across the river, and then the main line that goes across the river. And then the road goes underneath the main line. So it's going to be a pretty interesting spot, but it all fits well with, or is patterned after the prototype at Holcim Cement at the Devil's Slide control point. Now there actually is going to be another turnout here, so that there will be 2 tracks. So there'll be actually a little bit more switching than what we're showing right now. See if I can't get these coupled. We definitely saw a lot of these cement trucks going by also when we were out there in June of 2021. Spent quite a bit of time at Holcim Cement taking pictures, and must have been about 6 of those trucks that went by during the time we were there. So this is going to be pretty cool when we get the scenery in place with all their bridges. As you can see, the road crosses the river and then also goes underneath both tracks, the spur and the main line. And then the spur and the main line, of course, will have bridges going across the river. So it's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting that all together. All right, we've pulled clear of the turnout, so we'll go ahead and have that turnout thrown. And then we'll take the empties that we dropped off and run them down to the Holcim Cement facility. Again, this is a 3-part series. Part 1 was only 15 minutes long. Actually, a little bit less than that. This one will run about 24 minutes, so this is the longest of the 3. And then the final one, which is part 3, running from here to its final destination, the Evanston yard. I think that video is about 20 minutes long. Someone had commented that they would be able to watch the whole thing at once, which I'm sure they probably could. So I'm not doubting them. However, most YouTube viewers will watch about 15 to 20 minutes before they go to a different video. So I thought it'd be smart to go ahead and split this up. As we see a train going by here. Now this section of the railroad is left-hand running, so this train did not have to do any maneuvering to go around. This is the track that it would normally be on, and we are not in its way at all. It's just passing through as we try to wrap up our switching activities. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw this turnout here. I was checking to make sure we didn't recouple back up to our train there. It looks like I did. So we'll go ahead and uncouple again. We had to push them back a little bit further still. But now we'll be able to go ahead and push them back. This is a good view of not only the tank train going by, but you can kind of get a view of the spur going all the way down. And if you'll notice, it's pretty, it's not real straight. So I will be at some point in time straightening the track out. I never really did look down the spur to see how straight it was, but I'm sure it's probably straighter than what my track is right now. But my main concern is to make sure that the track is absolutely straight on straightaways before I ballast. So you might notice on the layout different places that there will be some areas where track's not perfectly straight. And again, I don't really worry about it too much unless it bothers me. But I don't worry about it too much until it's time to ballast, and then I have a 4-foot straight metal straight edge that I'll use to make sure that the straightaways are as straight as possible, and then I'll get them ballasted, and then they'll stay straight, hopefully. By the way, things have warmed up here quite a bit. It's in the 50s today. Last week, I think it was Friday, it was like minus 11. This is Fahrenheit temperatures we're talking about here. So it was about minus 11 Fahrenheit, which I think was minus 25 or something in Celsius. So it was really cold. But now it's up in the 50s Fahrenheit. So things are definitely a lot more comfortable as I struggle to get this uncoupled. The file does not really work very well. The main reason is that it kind of, because of the fileness of it, or the file characteristics, it kind of gets stuck in the coupler. So we'll have to figure out something else. All right, we're all coupled up, or we're all uncoupled, I should say. So the 4 cars that are at Holcim Cement right now are the 4 cars that this train dropped off. And the 4 cars that it's pulling out are 4 loaded cars that we're going to set at the siding for pickup by a westbound train later, either later today or this week. Looks like we have yet another train going by. This is an auto rack train. And again, this is the left-hand running, so it did have to move to the right-hand track as it went around our train, and now at this control point, it's going ahead and crossing back over to get onto the left-hand side. And it stopped. And it looks like it's operator error. I forgot to throw this switch back. There we go. Now, actually, that's not me forgetting to throw it back. I have some DS64s that I'm going to try to replace here, but they have this habit of randomly throwing turnouts when you power when the system is powered on. And I have not ever been able to figure out what the heck is going on with it. And it is completely random. Sometimes nothing will be thrown. Sometimes all of them will throw. Sometimes just half of them will throw, or just one of them will throw. It's pretty random, but it definitely is a pain because it creates situations like you just saw. And sometimes, even if there's a short, although I haven't had too much trouble with that, but if there's a short, enough of a short that it shorts out the command station, then when the command station comes back on, then it'll throw a turnout again. But I pretty much have all the power districts figured out now, so almost all shorts are handled by the power management system. And so haven't had a short in a long time that's actually shut down the command station. But anyway, I have two DS64s. And I think I'm going to try and replace them. I'm getting a little tired of having to deal with that. If anybody knows a solution out there, if they've had the same issue and they've fixed it, let me know what you did. I've searched all the Digitrax groups and forums and so forth, and haven't found anybody that has a solution. And they both do it. I think it's something that's inherent with the DS64. Because I've seen that other people have the same problem. All right, anyway, back to running the trains. We are done with all the switching operations. And the train is now ready to depart. This concludes part 2. Stay tuned tomorrow for part 3. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of 2022. Happy New Year to you in a couple days. Take care, everybody.